The old man was horrified to discover that the driver responsible for driving the boss had secretly drunk alcohol before departure. At this moment, the boss was about to come downstairs. Out of a sense of responsibility for his job, he teleported to the first floor to find the driver.
Look, I don't want to make you feel uncomfortable, but I just happened to have looked out the window and it appeared you were drinking something from a paper bag.
The driver was still making excuses when the boss started walking towards them, so he could only warn the driver.
Why don't you tell her you can't drive her today or I'm going to have to?
Hearing Ben's extremely serious warning, the driver, in order to keep his job, could only request a leave from the boss, citing physical discomfort.
Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah, no, you should take the day off and feel better, okay?
Faced with this sudden situation, Ben naturally took on the role of the driver. After arriving at the destination, Annie told Ben that the meeting was expected to last an hour. If he found the time too long, he could take a taxi back to the company.
Don't worry, I'll be here.
After the meeting, Annie came out with an unhappy face. Obviously things did not go well. Ben wisely did not ask much, just told her there was breakfast in the back seat.
Oh my god, that smells so good.
Good.
That night, Ben received a call from Annie's assistant, because they couldn't reach the driver, so they had to ask Ben to drive for another day. The next morning, Ben rang Annie's doorbell on time. Just as he was about to return to the car to wait, Annie's husband opened the door.
She's on a call. Do you want to come in? Let's make some coffee. Could be a while.
Faced with Annie's husband's enthusiastic invitation, Ben gladly accepted. His kind and amiable demeanor instantly won the favor of Annie's daughter. Ben also liked the little girl very much, smiling as he introduced himself as an intern. But this made Annie somewhat displeased, as she always valued her privacy. Ben sensed Annie's awkwardness, so on the way to the factory, Ben solemnly apologized for his behavior that morning. Annie comforted Ben while instructing the HR department to transfer him, because she felt Ben was too talkative, having seen through her in just a few days. This made her very uncomfortable. Ben was unaware of this, his eyes full of admiration for Annie's dedication to her work. Annie would go to the warehouse to teach workers how to pack, personally overseeing every detail. This is why she was able to build a company with 220 employees in just 1 year. This meticulous work attitude also reminded Ben of his younger self. That day, Annie worked late, and Ben naturally stayed by her side quietly. Annie noticed this, and brought food and wine to express her gratitude. Their conversation was surprisingly pleasant. Out of curiosity, Annie asked about Ben's previous work.
I was a VP for Dex 1.
Phone books?
I was in charge of printing.
Wasn't this a factory that used to make phone books?
Seeing Ben's expression, Annie suddenly realized everything.
This is where you worked?
For almost 40 years.
Talking about his previous work, Ben was obviously much more talkative, and Annie was also very interested in this topic. She listened attentively to the history of the building, her smile unconcealed. At this moment, Annie suddenly noticed Ben was trying to create a Facebook account, but seemed to be having trouble, so she helped him complete his profile based on his descriptions. During this process, Annie found that they had many similarities, which made her feel much closer to him. On the way home, she fell asleep in the car for the first time. Listening to Annie's snores, Ben did not disturb her, just waited quietly.
Oh, we're here?
Yeah.
Was I snoring?
No, just sleeping.
I never fall asleep in the car, so that was actually amazing. Apologize for the racket.
Yeah, we noticed.
I'll pretend I believe you.
Ben's tolerance made Annie feel extremely comfortable, and she gradually began to accept this elderly intern by her side. The next morning, Annie happily got into the car, only to find that the driver had been replaced by another intern.